Hey y'all, what's good? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope everybody is having a great day. Happy Friday to everyone. We are at the weekend, guys. We are a couple of days away from the holidays. Who is cooking? Okay, what y'all having? Let me know what's up with that. I want to say thank you to the 606 subscribers that we have. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel, liking, commenting, engaging. Okay. I appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. I really do. Today, y'all, we're going to do something a little different. So, we are all awaiting the Sarah Boone trial to commence. And I thought it would be kind of interesting to kind of challenge her battered woman's defense, uh, if we can, right? So, if you are not aware of who Sarah Boone is, we are not talking about the lady who invented the iron board or the iron. It's one or the other. We are talking about a woman from Florida who is known for getting straight A's in school, for being an amazing mother. Okay, the pillar of her community. However, she has a drinking problem, allegedly, and she likes to put the pause on people, and unfortunately, she put the pause on her, ex-boyfriend slash fiance, allegedly, and, on one night, she decided it was a good idea to zip him up in a suitcase or either coerce him into getting into a suitcase. She zipped him up, left him there while he begged and pleaded for his life, and she forgot that she recorded all of it, in which she laughed and mocked this man until he died, allegedly. Um, Afterwards, she called her husband and she babbled on for about 2 or 3 minutes before she went upstairs to go to bed. The next day, she she forgot that George was in the suitcase, allegedly, and she called her ex-husband to come over to the house because she just did not know what to do, okay? Her ex-husband, Brian, says that he came over to the house. He took a couple steps inside the house and saw George laying at the front of the home or the apartment near the stairs, allegedly. And he told her to call 911, allegedly, and she did so. Um, and we've all heard that call. And yeah, she called 911 and they came to the scene of the alleged crime and pronounced him deceased, in which she went on to explain herself and vehemently denied purposely leaving him in the suitcase to perish. So we are currently awaiting for Sarah's trial to start. She has gone through approximately 6 lawyers. One of them, um, well, they all filed for motions to withdraw. 2 or 3 of them were, unable to represent her due to a prejudice of, representing her prior, as well as Mr. Torres. Her first attorney was, fired by Sarah. He was a public defender. He was fired 1 month or 1 day, I'm sorry, into representing her, in which she hired a private attorney who agreed to work for her pro bono. This attorney's name is Mauricio Padillo or Pordillo. I can't pronounce it. But he actually did the bulk of the work in Sarah's case, and he is the one who started to file pleas for her for the battered woman syndrome defense. With that, he was able to petition the court for monies to hire different experts on her behalf, as well as 4 psychiatrists to evaluate her to see if a battered woman's defense would suffice. Um, at some point, he decided that he no longer wanted to represent her, and so he filed a motion to withdraw. And that is where the string of letters start to commence. Okay. She basically claims that all of the lawyers that she has kept her out of the loop, and they have not let her know what was going on as far as her case. which I find that hard to believe, seeing as though all of the lawyers, with the exception of 3, have, tried to use the battered woman syndrome defense in which psychiatrists would have to evaluate her. So she knew very well what was taking place. I just believe that with Sarah being as controlling as she did not agree with the way that the way that her attorneys were proceeding with the case, and so she threw a fit until they got tired and decided to peace out, okay? So now we are on attorney number 7. I have not seen any type of correspondence between her and the judge, and so I am left to assume that, um everything is working out so far. She did have a hearing, a status hearing a couple of weeks ago in which the attorney asked for a continuance, which I can completely understand because there is a lot to catch up on regarding her case, and he may have to ask the courts for permission to hire another expert to see where we are with this defense. All of this is alleged, might I add. And I want to say that not Erica, Sarah, I'm sorry, is presumed innocence. I cannot talk today. Look, I had coffee. And when I have coffee, baby, my mouth get to going, and y'all know I get tongue tied. All right. And so sometimes I talk over my words. I just say stuff that don't even make sense sometimes. So forgive me. Okay. Sarah is presumed innocent until found guilty. You may not like to hear that, but that is the facts. That is how we have to approach that. So everything that I'm saying is alleged, except for the part where I go into her criminal history as well as Mr. Torres. Give me a moment to sip some water. All right. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Mr. Torres today is because I want to see, as a layperson, with somebody who is interested in law, I want to see if Miss Sarah Boone's strategy or her attorney strategy will work. Now, I am not privy to what they have because this case is ongoing. It is not a closed case, so we are not privy to any of the discovery. However, I was able to pull up the history of Mr. Torres's arrest as well as Sarah Boone's to see who was the aggressor, look at some of the criminal complaints, and see what we have to date. Okay. So I need you guys to understand that Sarah, Miss Boone, allegedly was the originator of the abuse. Okay. I'm going to pull up the criminal complaint, and I am unable to share my screen because of how the complaint downloaded. So I will just have to read it, and hopefully you guys can understand me. If you have questions, you can always leave them in the comment section. Okay. So Miss Boone was initially arrested on July the 25th, 2018. This was early in their relationship. Um, she was arrested and booked. Oh Lord, I don't have the criminal complaint. Leave it to me, okay, to be ill prepared. Um, good grief. Hold on. I don't. My screen isn't even cooperating here. Just hold on a second. There we go. There it is. I have it now, guys. I'm sorry. Your girl is not prepared like I should be sometimes. Just go with it. Okay. On July the 25th, 2018, at approximately 1:52 p.m., an officer responded to the address on France Court um, in response to a male. Who was calling me? Leave me alone. To a male. Help me, Lord, please. Okay. I'm ready, I promise. Okay. An officer reported to the apartment in response to credit card fraud, which later was determined to be a violation of pretrial release conditions for domestic violence battery. When is this the right one? Yeah. This ain't even the right thing. Lord have mercy. I'm so sorry. Give me a second, please. Don't get frustrated, y'all. Okay, I'm trying. I promise. Too many documents. Hold on. That is George's. We're looking for Sarah's. Give me a second. Oh, Lord. Lord. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it. Okay. On July the 25th, 2018, at 1:52, police officers responded to the apartment where George and Sarah were cohabitating. The call was in reference to a male who kicked the female in the eye. The officer later determined that this would be considered aggravated battery by putting the hands around the neck and battery case, both being dating violence. Upon my arrival, I spoke with Sarah Catherine Boone, the defendant and the victim. Sarah verbally stated she was at an unknown bar earlier in the evening when she asked an unknown male for a cigarette. Her boyfriend, George Torres Jr., of 1.5 years, became upset since she was talking to another male and left the bar. They both went back to the residence and continued verbally arguing. Sarah said she was dragged upstairs by George and she was kicked in her right eye using his right heel. Sarah was unable to describe how she fell to the ground and or how she was dragged upstairs by George. Sarah refused medical treatment. Sarah refused to write a statement and or sign any dating violence paperwork. After I spoke to Sarah, I spoke to George. George verbally stated they were both at the residence, verbally arguing and have been consuming alcohol. They have been dating for 1.5 years and residing together for 1.2 years. George attempted to go upstairs to avoid Sarah. While George was walking upstairs, Sarah reached toward George's throat using both of her hands. Sarah placed both of her hands around George's throat and applied pressure to the extent that George was having difficulty breathing. George was sitting on the steps and started kicking towards Sarah in an attempt to get her off of him. George believes he might have kicked Sarah in the face, but was not sure. George believed that if he did not kick Sarah off of him, she would have had him incapacitated due to being strangled. George refused medical treatment. George also refused to write a statement and or sign any dating violence paperwork. Both George and Sarah stated they have been dating for approximately 1 year, 6 months, and residing together for approximately 1 year, 2 months. The left side of George's neck had red markings and small abrasions that are consistent with being, you know what. Sarah's right eye is bruised and swollen from receiving an impact. Both George and Sarah allowed a detective to take pictures of the injuries. The detective later uploaded the pictures to DataWorks. Both Sarah and George received a victim's rights booklet with the name and case number, along with a photo injunction referral. Excuse me. Due to conflicting statements and injuries on both Sarah and George, the detective was unable to determine who the primary aggressor was. So they placed both of them under arrest and searched. George was placed in the backseat of a patrol car, and Sarah was placed in another patrol car in the backseat. The detective informed Sarah and George of the charges that were being placed against them, which they stated they understood. Due to both parties refusing to write statements and or signing any domestic documents, the detective was unable to complete a victim's request of confidentiality form, authorization for release of confidential information form, and written statements. Both parties stated that they would not testify or prosecute against each other. Both Sarah and George were transported to the Orange County Booking and Receiving Center. George was booked and charged for battery, domestic dating and Sarah was booked and charged with aggravated battery by putting the hands around the neck. Both Sarah and George stated they do not own firearms and both body cams were activated. Now, here's the thing. I was able to find the criminal complaint for Sarah. However, there was no criminal complaint for George. And also, um, Sarah was charged with a felony. George was charged with a misdemeanor. Okay. Um, there is no paperwork for George whatsoever. So I'm assuming everything is just on that one criminal complaint. Um, and Sarah again was charged with a third degree felony, and she was released on a $250 bond, as well as George being released as well. Sarah paid his bond. Okay. Also, both of the cases were dismissed because they both refused to press charges against each other. So I don't understand why they called the police. You wasted time and resources. Um, and this is just basically an ongoing pattern as you're getting ready to hear. Okay. Um, excuse me. So it seems as though that George and Sarah were able to get along for almost a year, but unfortunately, on June the 15th, George was arrested for first degree battery. Um, and I could not find a criminal complaint for that either. So and I'm not going to speculate because I do want to be respectful as much as I can to his family. So I'm not going to speculate what happened at all. I just know that he was arrested for first degree battery. However, he was dismissed on a $2,000 surety bond. Um, the Oh gosh, what is this called? The order of probable cause determined that there was probable cause to arrest and charge him, and he was to have no contact with the victim. He was not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs unless he had a prescription, no firearms or weapons, and do not return to the scene of the offense. So he was ordered not to go back to the apartment that he and Sarah um, lived at or whatever. And we all know that he did go back there. Okay. Sarah did pay for his bond for that case. Um, and there was a no contact order issued uh for George not to have any contact with Sarah. And so per the no contact order, he was not to have any type of in-person, face-to-face contact with Sarah. He was not allowed to write, telephone, page, fax, text, or email the victim. He was not allowed to leave any notes, cards, or other items for the victim. He was, excuse me, not to have anybody, including children, send messages to the victim. He was not to do anything that intimidated her or tried to communicate with her in any way. So he did sign this acknowledging that, he was not supposed to have any contact whatsoever with her, but we all know that he did violate that on many occasions, okay? Um and so he was released because Sarah did not want to press any charges against him. And unfortunately, George was then arrested again on June the 18th for a violation of his pretrial release. He pled nolo contendere, which basically means no contest. He wasn't pleading innocent or guilty. His defense attorney did recommend a pretrial diversion, and this is basically to have the charges dismissed. So maybe dismissed so that I'm talking in circles. The purpose of pretrial diversion is basically to have the charges dismissed in the future. So examples of pretrial diversion in this particular case could have been DV classes, anger management classes, which I think eventually he was taken prior or after his last arrest. Um, However, the judge rejected his attorney's request for a pretrial diversion, and he was committed to stay in jail for the pretrial release. However, He was eventually given another bond in the amount of $3,000 in which Sarah paid for him. Okay. She was standing by her man and he was released. Eventually, he was adjudicated guilty on October the 18th, 2019. Now, it does not say anywhere on the Orange County website when he was required to complete those classes that Sarah spoke about during her interrogation. So I am unsure of when he was to complete those classes or when they started. Okay. So they got along for a couple more months, but George was then arrested again on August the 28th for first degree battery. He was given a bond on August the 30th. Um, and his charges were dismissed um, due to lack of evidence or the witness being uncooperative. Basically, the prosecution just asked the judge to have the case dismissed. They felt that it was insignificant, and yeah, it was thrown out. Okay, so he went back home to Sarah. He went back home to Sarah. And on September the 4th, he was arrested again for violation of pretrial release. Now, this is for the trial that he was waiting to take place from the June 18th arrest. Actually, yeah, the June 18th arrest because that case was not dismissed. He was out on bond, so he violated his bond. Now, when he was arrested on June 18th, he did waive his right to a speedy trial, but again, he was released on bond and was arrested August 28th. That case was dismissed. The only case that was not dismissed was the June 18th one. That one was still open until he perished. Okay. So on September the 4th, he was arrested in violation of his pretrial release. He pled not guilty. And on, um, gosh, excuse me, on October the 17th, the prosecution entered a nolle pros, which means that they are requesting that the case be dismissed. And it was. Okay. Oh, that was a lot, wasn't it, y'all? It was a lot. So the June 18th case, he was adjudicated guilty. And I'm left to assume that that is when he was required to maybe complete those classes. And he probably was given probation. The records aren't clear. So, I can only speculate, and that's unfair to him because he is not here to speak for himself and it's not updated in the court system. So, I have no idea what happened with that. Now, the reason I'm bringing all of this up is because I want to see um if it stands, if Sarah can use this defense. Okay? It seems to me, and it could just be because the court records aren't updated. It could be that some of those records were removed from the website due to this being an ongoing case. Her defense attorney could be using some of those court records to use for her trial. And so we're not privy to that. But it looks like Sarah was the aggressor or was reported to have been the aggressor on one occasion, and the other occasions she uh called the police on him for battery, and he was arrested just for violating his pretrial release requirements, but he was not assessed any additional battery charges. So now we got to figure out who was the aggressor and who wasn't the aggressor. And that we will not find out until trial, guys. Okay. I'm going to read a criminal complaint that took place on August the 28th. Now, remember, that was his third arrest when he was arrested for first degree battery as well as violation of his pretrial release requirements. So it says, excuse me, on August 28th, an officer responded in reference to battery Upon my arrival, I made contact with the victim who did not require any medical attention. The suspect was placed under arrest and transported to BRC. So the investigation revealed that Sarah and um, George had been dating for 3 years. They did live together as if they were a family. Um, they don't know if any children were present. If so, DFC needed to be contacted. They were unsure if any weapons were involved, and nobody was able to describe any injuries. However, there were marks on the victim on the left side of her neck. Um, there were photographs taken of both the victim and the suspect. The evidence that was obtained uh, was if the this report is so choppy. This is so I can't even understand what I'm reading. It says other evidence obtained. No. If suspect was arrested, why? How and or where did you attempt to locate the suspect? Is the suspect on probation? Was an arrest warrant obtained? All right. It says suspect was arrested. Is there an injunction for protection order in place? No, that's a lie. There was an order of protection in place after the June 15 arrest. So this report is inaccurate. It also says that Sarah Boone intentionally touched and struck the victim, Sarah Boone, against her will. What? Hold on. Sarah Boone intentionally touched. I shouldn't have said that word. Struck the victim, Sarah Boone, against her will. So is this saying that she struck him and he hit her back? So whoever wrote this did not write this clearly. The victim is a household member of the defendant due to the fact that they presently resided together as if a family and are currently residing in a single dwelling unit on August 28th, 2019 at approximately 8:14 a.m. p.m. Sorry. Police responded in reference to a battery. It says, upon my arrival, I met with the victim reporter, Sarah Boone, who identified via a driver's license, and she told the following, both in verbal and sworn statement. She said that she was in her bedroom sleeping when George woke her up, coming into the bedroom screaming and angry. George continuously punched Sarah Boone in the neck and pulled her hair. Sarah Boone threw George off of the bed when she feared he was going to bang her head on the marble windowsill. Sarah Boone and George Torres have been dating since March 2016 for approximately 3 years and have no children in common. They do live in the same apartment as a family. During my interactions with Sarah Boone, she appeared angry. She was upset, continuously apologizing, and stated how she was fed up with being hit. The officer observed marks on the left side of her neck, just under her jaw, and an old bruise on the right eye that she had said happened 3 days ago. Sarah declined an offer of medical treatment on the scene prior to my arrival. I took digital photographs of Sarah Boone's injuries and submitted them into evidence under the case number via digital crime scene. Sarah Boone said she is not willing to testify or prosecute for this incident. I provided Sarah Boone with a booklet containing legal rights and remedies notice to victims and a business card containing the case number for this incident. During my interactions with George Torres, whom I identified via his identification card, he acted as if he was surprised to see deputies. I observed redness by his left eye. George Torres declined an offer for medical treatment on the scene. They took digital photographs and submitted them into evidence. The deputy explained to George his Miranda rights and asked if he was willing to speak to the officer about the incident. George replied, yes. I asked George what had happened tonight, and he continues to act surprised that I was talking to him. When I asked George what happened to Sarah, he said, I don't know. When I asked him how she got the marks on her neck, he alluded to the fact that he gets hit all the time, and what is he supposed to do? When I asked, hold on, when I said he should call the police, he said he would not call the police on her. I asked if he gave her the marks in self defense. He said no. I asked if he hit her because she hit him, and he would not answer. I asked again what happened tonight, and he did not answer. I placed George under arrest for domestic battery domestic V and transported him to the booking and receiving area without incident. There is no additional information at this time. Give me 1 second. Y'all know my kids always want to bother me, okay, when I'm trying to do my little YouTube career. Anyway, um, so basically, what I read was a criminal complaint for the incident that took place on August 28th when he was arrested. Sarah was not arrested. Um, but to me, based off of what I read, it seems like, it was a mutual altercation, physical altercation, right? Again, that's me speculating, so I don't know. But it seems as if George was just incoherent. He didn't understand what was taking place. He said that he would never call the police on her. And so that could be why Sarah was never arrested. Because remember, per my research, there's only one criminal complaint in which she was arrested for fighting him. So that could have been why. Um, Again, there's no criminal complaints from George alleging that Sarah beat him up. I don't know. Now, in respect to the beginning of the criminal complaint, I know it was choppy, so let me see if I can go back and put it together. I guess these were all questions that they had to check off. So they had to check off if there were any kids present while the altercation took place, and if so, was DCF, sorry, contacted, and did they get any information regarding that? They had to check off if there were any weapons present, if the victim had any type of marks on their person, and if so, were any photographs taken? So this is just a checklist, but it was at the beginning of the report. So that's why if y'all reading this, don't criticize me, okay? It just didn't look right. It wasn't like check boxes on there. It was added as part of that report. Okay. Um, Let me see. And this is just case was dismissed for that last arrest on September 4th. It was completely dismissed on September 23rd. And that is where we are with that. So what y'all think? Do y'all think that Sarah's case is strong enough where she can use a battered woman syndrome case or not? In my opinion, no. Now, I know I have spoke on this channel before about domestic V, but I don't believe that this will work. And the reason why is because they both were known to allegedly be under the influence of alcohol. And it seemed to me when they both drank, they got violent, allegedly. And that Sarah cried wolf, called the police, but then changed her mind. She never wanted to receive any type of medical treatment, even though there were bruises on her body. She never wanted to press charges, and she always paid bail out of the money that she was receiving from her alimony from her ex husband, allegedly. Um, Also, I know sometimes when women are abused, they do let the aggressor come back into their lives because that's just the cycle of abuse. But in this case, based off of what I observed from Sarah's personality, I just don't see it. I don't see it working out for her. I really don't. But this is just my opinion. This is alleged. We will see what happens in court. We will see what the defense was able to come up with on her behalf. But that does give us a little insight into the cycle of abuse between George and Sarah. Okay. So let's go to the YouTube streets. We're going to watch a couple of videos because y'all probably tired of hearing me talking. And quite frankly, I'm getting hungry and I'm tired of talking. So we are going to use, we're going to borrow a video from Deep Dive True Crime. He has the interview from Sarah's ex-husband, Brian. So let's sit back and watch this, okay?
Today's date is February 24th, 2020. The time now is approximately 15:25 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I am currently located in my unmarked agency vehicle in front of 4748 France Lane, apartment number 3 in Winter Park, Florida. Also in the car with me is my partner,
Scott Lowen, Detective Orange County Sheriff's Office.
And your name, sir?
Brian Boone, 75.
Okay. So, Brian, to my understanding, you were called over here. So can you just take me back to this morning and your involvement with Sarah, which is your ex-wife?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes. We've been divorced about a year and a half.
Okay.
Well, I started calling her probably 10:30 or so. It's her day to pick up the kid, but
Okay.
it doesn't always happen. 1 or 2 days a week, maybe she gets them.
Out of the 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And what do you, like every other day you're supposed to?
Well, we're supposed to. She's Monday, Tuesday. I'm Wednesday, Thursday, and then we alternate Friday through Sunday is how it's supposed to. I was actually my lawyer back a couple weeks ago as I was looking to get it changed because she can never stick to it. There's always some reason why. So it's general that I start calling her around to find out if she's actually going to get him, even though yesterday she told me she would. So I started calling her about 10:30. Never got any answer until I can tell you. So I finally got a hold of her at 12:49.
And did she call you or you call her?
No, I called her. I called her at 11:25. I did that twice. I always call twice because generally she's asleep or whatever. And then I called her 2 more times at 12:21, and then I called her again at 12:49, and that's when she answered.
Okay.
Freaking out, saying that George was dead, and could I please come over? So I told her you need to call the police, and went and got my dog in his crate and everything, and started heading over here. She called me again at 12:54 asking if I was going to be coming over, if I'd left yet. And I told her I had already left. I was going to be there in a couple minutes. So I got here, knocked on the door, walked in just right in the front entrance area. Told her once again, you need to call the police.
Was she on the phone with anyone when
Not
you
yet.
saw her?
Not yet.
Okay.
She was shaking and she was trying to get herself something to drink because she was just like freaking out. So that's when she got on the phone and called, and I said, I'm going outside because I don't really want to be in here right now.
So this is where Sarah effed up at royally, okay? The fact that you took so long to call 911, I want to say it was about an hour, maybe a little over that. Um, your ex-husband, I'm sorry, says that you're freaking out. But how do we know that? Because based on the 911 call, it didn't sound like you were freaking out to me. Okay. Furthermore, if you are using a battered woman's syndrome defense, let's say you did get him in a suitcase because, he was just beating the ape shit out of you the night before. You were successfully able to get him into the suitcase. Why didn't you call for help then? You didn't call anybody, your ex-husband, the police, nobody to get help. He's beating me. He has a history of beating me. I locked him here. I don't know if that's wrong or right. I don't know what to do, but could you please come? That would have been the end of that. Strategy ain't gonna work, boo.
I came outside and I sat in my car until people showed up, and
Okay.
it's kind of where we've gone from there. So
Okay. So you called her about 5 or 6 times before she answered.
yeah, which completely normal.
Normal to you. Okay. The rotation real quick. So Monday, Tuesday, she'll have them. Wednesday, Thursday, you'll have them, and then you rotate each weekend.
Yeah, well,
Like it's every other weekend.
how it's supposed to work. Generally, it's 1 or 2 times, maybe a week. I think she had him last Tuesday was the last time he was actually over here.
And spent the night.
Yes.
Okay.
It's probably another week before that.
What's your son's name?
Lucas. Lukas.
L-U-K. And Boone.
Yeah.
Okay. You think he stayed here last Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was last Tuesday.
was well then. Okay, so you technically have him more than she does. Is that where you're getting?
Yeah, that's why I said I was going to.
So even though that's how it's supposed to be, you still have him.
Yeah, it's not a good day. George is in a bad mood, or whatever else reason. I think sometimes just she wants to stay up and drink and can't really do that if she's got to wake up and take him to school the next day.
Right.
Any number of different reasons. So.
Okay. How long have you known Sarah?
Since, let's see here, I was probably 23 or so when we met.
Oh, wow.
Something like that.
Since you were 23?
Yeah. So probably, 20 years. We dated for quite a while, and then got married, whatever it was, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. Well, I guess 12, 13 years ago before the divorce. So I guess like 14, 15 ago, something like that, maybe.
Okay. What can you tell me about her?
I don't. She's generally not. She can get a bit violent when she drinks. Not to this kind of extent. I don't know what happened exactly.
But, right. No, I'm just looking for.
That was part of it. The alcohol has gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. That's one of the main reasons why I divorced her. I just couldn't deal with it. It got to the point where, on weekdays she'd go out, and I guess the George person is one of the people she had met, because I separated at one point, went over to my parents' house to live for a few months, and I guess she met him over at the pool place or something like that. But I'd come back and we were in therapy trying to work it out, and on a weeknight when he's got school the next day, I've got work the next day.
And I just thought about something. He said that she becomes increasingly violent, agitated, and aggressive when she drinks. This happened while she was married to Brian. So you have a history of aggression, you have a history of alcoholism, you have a history of violence. Not to the degree of when you were fighting George, but to some degree for your ex-husband to mention it. And that is probably why the defense subpoenaed Brian to get a history. The defense needs a history of their relationship, and so does the prosecution. He completed a deposition, and I cannot wait until the trial so we can hear in great detail how this woman did this man. Mr. Brian seems like a really good guy that wanted his marriage to work, and this lady took advantage of that, allegedly.
She was out till 3 o'clock in the morning when the bar closes, and she'd bring people back over on the back porch. One time, some random person walked in my house and started screaming for Sarah at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning when we're trying to sleep. I just couldn't get over it.
So did you still live here?
No. I bought her out of our house.
Okay.
I was going to just sell it and move because I kind of want to go back to College Park, which is where I'm from. But I thought it would be maybe easier for Lucas if I just bought her out and kept that house, so he had a little bit of continuancy, kind of.
Understandable.
So that's what I ended up doing, and then she moved right down the street here. So.
And how long would you say the alcoholism has been a part of her life?
It's always been a part of her life. It seemed to have gotten worse and worse. I think more or less kind of since we had Lucas. And I think a lot of it was the fact that she kind of, I guess, maybe felt trapped or something.
Okay.
Now, that's a good point. And I'm not defending Sarah, but we got to look at it from all perspectives. I'm wondering if her defense attorney is going to maybe see if she was suffering from postpartum depression, and that is a reason why her drinking habits got worse. It's plausible, y'all. We're not defending Sarah. What she did was terrible, but I'm just saying It could be that she was suffering from postpartum depression. She was never evaluated or treated for it. And as a result, she used the alcohol to cope. So we'll see.
I mean, before that, I mean, whenever she wanted, you're outside having a drink. Oh, I want to go play pool. You go over across the street, you play pool for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not happening anymore when she got a kid.
Right.
So
how old's your son?
He is 9. So, but I mean, she started just getting really angry when she drank a lot. She said last night she fell asleep. There were plenty of times where she just basically passed out from drinking. So,
so you've witnessed her pass out from drinking?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And when she passes out, is she like out cold?
Oh, she's out.
Like how difficult would it be to like wake her?
Well, I mean, if I were to like shake her or something,
right.
I could probably wake her up. But me making a phone call or noise probably wouldn't do it.
Okay. And would she be like in the middle of doing something and just like out cold, or would she go to bed?
Yeah,
and
it would be
out cold?
Yeah, she wouldn't like fall over or anything. It would be more of a lay down and then she's just out.
Right. Okay. What do you know about her and George's relationship, if anything?
It was. I mean, I think she had him arrested like 5 or 6 times for domestic violence. I mean, he's stuck a steak knife in the back of her leg one time.
Okay. So has he always been the one that gets arrested, or has she ever?
She was also one of the times.
Okay.
One of the times, both of them were arrested. But all the others have been him. But the very next day, she's in there trying to get him bailed out. So
right.
I don't know. Basically, they get drunk, they get in a fight, she gets upset, she calls the cops. I mean, granted, I saw lots of black eyes, bruises.
On her?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, there definitely was. Now,
would you see George as much as you would see him or her?
I hardly ever saw him.
You hardly
I honestly, I didn't like being around either one of them.
Right.
To be honest, and him more so. So.
Why is that?
Just I don't know. It's my ex-wife. She made me really mad with everything. How the whole divorce went down, and just, I mean, the way she acted and the way she changed and the way they both are.
Now, I did search the Orange County court record system to try to see if I can get any information about the divorce, and everything is sealed. Everything is sealed. Now, it could be sealed because I know that the case was reopened in family court because Sarah did recently write a letter about how the alimony stopped, and she feels that Brian is trying to turn their son against her, and she is not allowed to speak with their son. I don't know how much of that is true. That's just alleged. It could also be that some of those records in family court will be used in the upcoming trial, and so they have been sealed and not available to the public. So I really want to know like what happened during their divorce. So maybe after the case will be available to get some of those records.
I mean, what it's done to Lucas and everything else, he's nobody I cared to see. Let me put it that way.
It could also be too that family court records aren't available to the public, especially if it was some domestic V going on. I just thought about that. So those records may not ever be available to us because it's family court. So I guess we just have to hear what we can hear during a trial.
I mean, it's not like I really went out of my way to it's just that.
When you guys do drop-offs or anything, is it always through the school, or would you like have to come here and see them, or no?
No, it's pretty much always during the school. Now sometimes she would come over or something like that. Sometimes he would be driving, but I mean, he would just stay in the car. She would come in, so I mean, I really wouldn't see him.
So it's not like you have like conversations with George. Okay.
No, I mean, maybe a few times when they've drunkenly called me at night because she was telling me she needed to escape because of whatever's going on, or she's put him on the phone, but I don't know.
When's like the last incident that you recall of there being like a domestic dispute between her and George?
I mean, she told me like a week ago she had to escape from the house and wanted me to come pick her up. I told her I wasn't going to because I'm just tired of it happening. I mean, it was midnight. I mean, child's trying to sleep, and just honestly, I don't always believe her when she said these things were going on. And
she called you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, apparently she went back inside and slept well. So the fine mood the next day. I guess didn't really remember calling me, so I don't know if it was just she wanted to come over to, I don't know. She keeps on trying to come over to like hang out or something like that, or she'll come over to spend time with Lucas rather than actually just having him over here like she's supposed to. But she wants to come over there and play with him, and so I'm not sure how real that was. Last time I know there was an actual physical confrontation. It's probably been a little while because this last time George got arrested, I know he was on pre-trial, whatever, something. I don't know. He had a parole officer. He had a domestic violence class. He's like...
So that's the last time, basically the last time he was arrested was the last physical altercation that you...
So sorry to cut in, but I have to provide commentary. I am borrowing somebody's video, and so that's what I have to do. And this is a commentary channel. But Brian just made mention of the last time he was arrested, which I told you guys was September the 4th, in violation of his pretrial release. And he just confirmed that he was supposed to take those domestic V classes and the anger management classes. Eventually, the case was non le pras, which means that it was dismissed on October the 17th. So there's our confirmation there.
You recall?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but I think so.
And you have any idea what year or month that may have been?
Back a few months, maybe?
A few months ago?
Yeah, something like that, maybe. I don't think it was incredibly long.
Okay. Like around the holidays of last year, before the holidays?
I think it was probably before the holidays. Okay. I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Because oddly enough, there was like a 3-week period where she actually had Lucas all the time she was supposed to because he was in jail for a month or something like that.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't let him out.
Yeah. And you said when she drinks that she can get physically aggressive.
She can. I mean, she did it to me a lot where she'd hit me and stuff like that. I mean, she's tiny. I mean,
what do you mean hit though? Like open hand smack you or like try to punch you?
Yeah, she'd punch me. I mean, more arms. She many times would use her claws. I mean, I had scratches on my neck at times, on my arms. I mean, things like that where she'd dig with her claws.
Okay.
I never got that drunk and I had restraint. I never touched her back. I think George didn't have that restraint, and at times he would hurt her back. So I mean, for all I know, all the times he got arrested, she started it. I don't know. I wasn't there, so but I know she could get violent at times.
Okay.
Did y'all hear that? Now this is alleged, but he said that all of the times they got into it, she was the aggressor. You cannot claim battered woman syndrome and you're the aggressor. It doesn't work that way. But this is all alleged per her ex-husband.
But I mean, I don't know. It wasn't anything too much. I mean, just
right. Yeah. I mean, you don't feel like she was a huge threat. I'm assuming, right? No. Yeah. Like you could handle yourself.
Yes.
Does she drink daily?
I think pretty much.
Okay. Do you know like her drink of choice?
That would be vodka.
Vodka.
Or wine, but vodka is the big one.
And does she or George have a job?
No. She hasn't worked for over 2 years. Well, I guess you could maybe call when he's got a job. He worked at the Ace Hardware up across the street here,
Okay.
which is now going out of business.
Okay.
He kind of off and on worked there. When he did work, it was 15, 20 hours a week, something like that. I mean, my alimony and stuff basically pays for where they live. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, they didn't need a ton, but I mean, she was always calling to borrow money. And but it's been like 2 years since she got a job. She keeps on telling me she's looking and she's always finding the good opportunities and everything, but
Right.
okay.
Do you want to take it?
It's my dad. Just
Sure,
one
yeah.
second. Hold on. Hey. Well, just wait. I'm talking with the detectives right now, and I should be heading out here soon. So I can come get him. Okay. Is John out? Oh, okay. Is he awake? Okay. Good. Okay. Well, I should be up there very soon. Okay. Bye. Sorry.
Okay. We were just on the phone with someone. Okay. When you came over here, I know you said that she called you freaking out saying he was dead. Did she give you any more, like, did you ask why or
she told me that they were playing last night or something, and he got in the suitcase and she fell asleep.
Okay.
That's all she told me, so I don't know anything beyond that.
Okay.
And I really didn't talk to her much because I came inside, I told her you need to call the police, and then I came back out, and I think she went on the back porch to smoke a cigarette, so I didn't even really talk with her much.
Oh, like she was going outside did you see her take a cigarette?
Yeah, she was going outside with I also know when the cops showed up, she kept on telling them she had a cigarette burning out there and she needed to go put it out.
Okay.
But they were keeping her away from stuff, I guess.
Right. Okay.
But she wanted me to come back there with her. I was like, I'm going out here. I don't really want to be in here, so.
Right. And that's when she went to call 911.
Well, she called 911 while I was in there. I was standing right in the foyer area.
Okay.
And I mean, it was apparently a pretty quick conversation, and that's when she started to go that way, and I just told her I'm going out front. So.
Okay. Okay. So they were playing, and she went upstairs and went to bed.
I don't know where she went. She just told me she went to sleep.
Or she went to sleep. Okay. You don't know where.
I don't know where.
You didn't ask more questions.
I didn't ask more questions. I leave that to you guys.
Yeah. No problem.
Hey, I'll let you know when I'm done talking to these guys, okay? Hello? That's okay. All right. Never mind. Okay, bye. I'll call you when I'm leaving.
From this house.
Well, I was in the foyer.
No, not today.
Oh, other than
today.
Before today? Trying to remember if I've been in there. I haven't even really been over here lately.
So it's been a long time.
It's probably been at least weeks, maybe.
Does Lucas play baseball or anything yet?
We've tried to get him into sports. He's not a big sports person, really.
Did you ever play baseball?
He didn't play baseball. Well, I mean, I had him like a T-ball set and stuff like that, and we'd play catch.
Is it like a plastic T-ball set, or what kind of equipment did you have?
Oh, no, this is when he was like 3 years old. It was a little plastic thing I had in the backyard.
Did you ever buy him any baseball bats or anything?
I bought one for over here that Sarah said for Lucas and George to like play with or something. That was, that was like a year ago or something, maybe.
What kind of bat was it? Was it a wood bat?
Yeah, it was a wooden bat. I think it was like a junior size thingy. I don't know. It's something that I looked like kind of for his height or something, I think.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Would you mind if I took a picture of your call log to show
Sure.
That you've all the
Do you just want to see hers, or you, like, zoomed in on hers so you can see all of those?
Yeah, that's perfect. So I'd say starting from today. I know her phone.
Did you text with her at all today?
Not today. I don't think I did today at all.
Sorry.
That was last night. She was drunkenly texting me.
Last night?
Yeah.
What time?
That was 11 o'clock at night. I think that was
Last night was Sunday. What does it say?
Oh, that's Saturday. Never mind.
Saturday.
That was Saturday night when I was watching the baseball game.
Okay.
Yesterday, which is that, she said her account was in the negative, so I transferred her a little bit of money to get her out of the negative.
She sent you. Oh, that was the morning. Okay, so she thanked you at 11:56.
Excuse me. Now, mind you guys, per court documents that I found, her ex-husband was paying her $1,000 a month in alimony and child support. Her rent was, oh God, let me remember. It was between $1,300 and $1,500 a month. And on George's court documents, he was, I guess, receiving unemployment or something, and he listed that he was receiving $1,350 per month. And so that is probably why her account was in the negative, because she did own a Kia Sorento. I don't know if she was making payments on that or if she owned it, but you think all of the things that you have to pay for, and 2550 is not nearly enough if your rent is already, let's say it's $1,300, and you have other miscellaneous bills plus a kid plus food. And they probably weren't saving much. I did look into that, and it said that they didn't have anything in their savings account. Sarah did not list any particular debts, but George had some. And so I'm left to assume that's why she was in a negative, and Brian came to the rescue to help her with a couple of dollars because she allegedly probably drank the rest of the extra money that she had. And mind you, this is right when COVID was getting ready to spread like wildfire, and so nobody was getting any type of unemployment benefits or the what's the checks that were received, the stimulus checks. And so, and she wasn't working. You heard him say she hadn't been working for 2 years. So it probably was something that wasn't uncommon for Brian.
That morning.
Yeah.
Right.
Sunday.
Okay. What's the last thank you? What time? Okay, so just a few times.
Yeah, and then that one at 12:01.
Okay, so afternoon, Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the calls. Do you need like?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yep, I'll start from the top where it has.
So I'm sorry, I gotta cut in again. So basically, what he's saying is that when she woke up, she texted Brian, her ex-husband, and telling him that she didn't have any money. Her account was in a negative. He sent it to her, and then he's getting ready to list the times that she called him, and I'm assuming this is after she located George in the suitcase.
Her information. Go ahead. You could scroll down. And that's fine. Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, he did not list that, so I'm assuming that it will be released in court, but she did make note of it. I'm trying to remember, didn't he say that she started calling him at 12:49? I would have to go back and research that, but yeah.
Okay. has Lucas ever told you anything about her, like witnessing anything between her and George?
He's heard arguments and things like that.
Okay.
He's not a big fan of staying over here, honestly.
Okay.
Just because they get in arguments and stuff like that. I don't think they've ever had a physical fight in front of him.
Okay.
But I know there's been arguments he's told me about.
Okay.
There's been times where I think things were starting to get to that point, and she has called me to come pick him up.
Okay.
And bring him back over to my house. So
yeah. Okay.
She's generally pretty good about having me come get him if, which leads to me not having a life because I can't ever do anything.
Right.
So I can't go anywhere because I'm too worried about something happening and me having to be over here quickly.
Yeah. Okay, do you have anything else?
Yeah, do you know if she's ever had any issues with drugs in the past?
To my knowledge, she's never really been a drug person. She's big on alcohol, but I don't think she's ever done. I mean, I think she told me like one time, like back before we got divorced, that at I don't know, this bar thing over there across the street near the Walgreens, whatever it's called.
Okay.
I've never been there, but somebody gave her a little bit of cocaine, like 2 years ago or something like that. But I've never known her to do drugs.
What about George?
No clue whatsoever.
She's never complained to you.
No. That's not to say these things don't happen, because I try to keep myself out of and away from them in general. But
right.
Which vehicle is yours?
The Prius right up here.
In front of us?
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
That is what I got sent.
Oh,
I know it looks like a vanity thing. No, that's just this last time they, I guess, sent me a new plate and that's what was on it.
Awesome. So you can make that up whatever you want it to be.
I could.
Tell them it's for racing. You're going to.
Yeah, I know you're racing.
Yes, racing in my Prius.
I'm not saying you win. I'm just saying you race.
Oh man. Okay. Anything else, Scott? Okay. Is there anything else that you think is important for us to know that we have not asked you about either George or Sarah?
I don't think so.
When I mean, you guys have been separated for what do you say, 5?
We've been divorced about 1.5 years. We were separated a good 8 months before that or so. And we had been separated one other time before that, before we got back together and we're trying to do therapy, which didn't work at all. So
how long has she been living in this apartment?
Ever since we got divorced. So
just 1.5 years ago?
No, longer than that then. Because I took over the house. I moved in there and she moved here. Because I told her I was buying her out of the house. So I guess it has been longer than that. I think she just said she renewed, so maybe just past 2 years.
Okay.
That may be right.
I think she said she's been here like 4 years.
No, she's been with George. I don't remember what she said.
Yeah, she was with George before we were divorced. So
yeah. Okay. And any time that you recall when you guys were together, and she would be drunk, did she always like resort to getting angry? Like, is she an angry drunk, or would she like?
Her main problem is she can't stop.
Okay.
I mean, she can't go out and have a glass of wine with dinner.
Right.
That's not a thing she can do, because once she starts drinking, she will continue drinking basically until she out.
She goes to sleep.
Yeah.
If she were to be drunk, would she like want to play games with you? Like, did you guys?
Oh, there's a really good period where she is very good, but then she drinks past that and she gets into the angry bits.
Okay. All right. Okay. Can you just raise your right hand for me? Do you promise and swear everything we've talked about has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. This ends the recording 15:52 hours. Today's date is March 1st, 2020. The time now is approximately 16:41 hours. This is in reference to Orange County case number 20-017904. I am on the phone with, can you state your name, sir?
Brian Boone.
And I have a couple follow-up questions that I wanted to ask Brian Boone in reference to this case. Brian, just give me your date of birth for me. Okay. And do you promise and swear everything we're going to talk about is going to be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. So we had a conversation about the incident and your involvement a few days ago, earlier this week, I believe on Tuesday. And after looking through Sarah's call logs, I noticed that she called you on February 23rd, which would be the Sunday night at around 23:46 hours, which that's military time, but in normal time, that's 11:46 hours. Do you recall that phone call?
I do, well, somewhat. I was asleep when she called. So she woke me up. I was half asleep when I was talking to her. She did sound very inebriated.
Okay.
I don't remember what all I'm kind of used to her calling drunk late at night and things like that, so it didn't faze me as anything out of the ordinary. I basically just kind of got her off the phone and told her I'm going back to sleep and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. You said that she sounded inebriated, like she was drunk?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't sound like, it's hard. I was half asleep at the time. I don't think I remember hearing anything bad in the background or anything that would have caused me concern, but I don't really remember it that well.
Okay. But she was under the influence of alcohol based off of your knowledge of just knowing her and knowing when and when she's not under the influence.
Yeah. As soon as I heard her start talking, I almost kind of just zoned out away from it because she says all kinds of nonsense when she does this late at night, and I was trying to get her off the phone so I could go back to sleep. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm on the phone right now.
So, excuse me. Basically, the detective called Brian back to ask about a phone call that Sarah placed to him the night that George was zipped into the suitcase. And he's basically saying that he was asleep. It was pretty late. I think it was very close to midnight when she called him. Excuse me. And Brian says that she was under the influence. However, he didn't hear anything in the background. Now, for those of you who have watched the video of George in the suitcase pleading for his life, you can hear him on video pretty clearly. It wasn't that muffled. I can make out everything that he was saying. And so I'm wondering if he had already passed away by that time, right? If Brian is saying that even though he was asleep, he only heard her talking, he didn't hear anything strange in the background. Had he already passed away before Sarah retreated upstairs? Y'all let me know what y'all think.
You can get yourself dried off. Get yourself dried off. Your pajamas are right here, okay? Hold on, buddy. I'm sorry.
It's
sorry.
okay.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you remember her saying anything specifically about George?
I don't think so. I don't really remember. I really don't remember much of the conversation, honestly.
Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, and the phone conversation lasted for a little over 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken?
May have been, yeah.
Okay. And you said that is kind of normal for her to call you late at night or just kind of whenever she's under the influence and she's kind of just babbling on and you have to try and get her off the phone.
Yeah,
if you don't
it's a thing that happens.
Okay. Okay, so you can't remember anything specific about what she may or may not have said, but she did sound inebriated. Does that sound correct?
Yeah.
And you couldn't hear anything in the background?
Not that.
As far as like
remember,
arguing or
no.
yelling or anything like that, you couldn't hear any of that?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do you know where she was located? Did she ever say?
I was assuming she was at home.
Okay, but she didn't say.
I mean, she didn't have a lot of money. She didn't really go out anywhere, so I assumed she was at home.
Okay. But you wouldn't know where in the house she may have been?
No.
Okay, she didn't give you that information. Okay.
Not that I remember. It's possible she said something. I don't really remember, though.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you think is important for me to know about that phone conversation?
I don't think so.
Do you guys talk often? Like in a day's time? Like, do you guys talk daily?
More than I would like. Normally, anytime I'm calling her, it's to find out if she's actually going to be picking the child up like she's supposed to.
Right.
Like that next morning with me constantly calling.
Right.
She'll call to talk to Lucas, or sometimes when she's drunk, or she wants me to come pick her up because she's scared of George, or, I mean, any number of different things.
Okay, you're kind of like her call person, like she.
Yeah. It's gotten very old over the last couple of years, so I've started to just kind of ignore what she's saying and just try to get her gone as soon as possible.
Right.
Because, I mean, honestly, for a long time, I tried to help her out, give her refuge, get away from him, and she just kept bringing him back, and I eventually just gave up on the situation, so.
Right. Okay. All right. Do you promise and swear everything that we have talked about has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. This ends the recording at 16:47 hours.
Okay, and that's the end of that. There are several other videos available on this wonderful channel, Deep Dive True Crime. He is a lawyer, I believe, based out of Florida, and he does upload pretty frequently with interrogations, body cam footage, and the like. Um, there is another video available, actually two or three. One is with the younger brother of Mr. Torres, and another from a friend of his. And I'm not going to play those because I want you guys to go and show this wonderful person some love on their channel. I do appreciate them making the video available um for us to use and provide commentary and things of that nature. So if you feel led, go over and watch the other two videos to get some background information via those two individuals about Mr. Torres. In the meantime, we will keep his family in our prayers, and just hope that before the end of the year, we get some type of information about when this case is going to start. Um, and yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in, liking, engaging, subscribing, all of those wonderful things. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I will be going live tonight for the last two episodes of the Khalif Browder docu. So if you have time or if you want to, you can stop by or not. Either way, I appreciate you. And I'll catch up with y'all next time. Y'all be easy. Peace.